Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are on the dev server for the Leviathans update, and it is time to have a look at the ground vehicles that are coming in the next major update. Understand this, in the dev server, there is always a bunch of bugs, there is always a bunch of problems, and just take everything that you see with a pinch of salt when it comes to the game. But we're going to cover all of the new vehicles in separate videos later on, and then we'll do the bulk videos now so you can see what's kind of here. So this video will focus on the ground stuff. It'll be the first video that you see. We'll also do an aviation video and also a naval video, and we'll do some videos looking at the mechanics for stuff like the multi-vehicle systems and also the maps, which are turning up as well, so you can have a look. There's going to be a lot coming over the next few days, so hopefully you enjoy it all, and hopefully I'll survive. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Let's get started. So, the first thing to have a look at is they're introducing some new packs which are coming into the game. These are very similar to the Tiger packs, or the Tiger pack for Germany. They're coming in for USA, USSR, and Britain, and you can find the American stuff basically in the mid ranks, which I think is generally pretty cool. You can see right here, you have the Hell Sherman, the Hell Hellcat, and also the Hell Skink. These are just copies of the standard tech tree vehicles, which have premium bonuses and also unique camouflages. So this is the Sherman Helm, this is the M4A376W HVSS, and then here's the Hellcat Hell, which actually has a really cool camo. All of them do have their own camos as well, so you aren't just like limited to the standard camo. You can also use any of the other drabs and any of the other ones, and the actual kind of camouflages that are on the vehicles will change depending on what you're using. There's also a skink one as well, which is also really cool. So that's going to be one of the packs in. Also, during the time of these being added as a pack, they have also updated some of the models. So, for example, the Hellcat has actually been updated and looks rather nice. The EZ8 has also been updated. So, both of these vehicles on top of the standard packs will get updated models in the standard tech tree. So, that's all the ground vehicles that are coming in for America, apart from the special one. This is the US SLAMRAAM System, or as I like to call it, Humvees with missiles and radars attached. So this is the radar vehicle that you can see right here. It's kind of interesting how this is all set up. So I'll give you a brief explanation here of how these systems work, but later on I'll do a full in-depth video showing you all the mechanics, how it all goes. So in the standard tech tree, you have one of the vehicles, this time the AMRAAM FCS, and what you can do is you spawn in the vehicle, specifically the radar one, into the game, and then you have options to spawn other vehicles on top of it. So you can see here, we have the radar, which is right here, and you can see the new controls in the bottom, the C alt and also the U alt. So what you can do is you can literally just spawn a vehicle right there, and then if your radar locks onto an aircraft like that one over there, you can see it will turn for it, and then you can actually engage using it. So even though you're just researching this vehicle here, you're actually researching a set of vehicles, which is kind of cool. Now, the modifications, or sorry, the missiles aren't working properly on this thing yet. Give it time, it'll get there. But also you have some other mechanics, like you have this, the new complex menu for everything, which is a little bit confusing. But once again, I'll talk about how it works later on. And yeah, so the other thing you can also do is you can quick switch between the vehicles. So this is the SLAMRAAM. I'll actually spawn another one just to kind of show you what it looks like, because you can get 2 of these vehicles per thing. So you can see this is the one that we already fired, and then you can just quick switch to the other one, and then you can just quick switch back to the radar system. As long as the radar system stays alive, you stay alive. So you can kind of sacrifice these guys or do like different stuff with them, which is kind of fun. So this is just a Humvee with access to AMRAAMs. They're specifically the AIM-120C5s, and these will actually turn up on some other vehicles that will be around. And then also you have the AIM-9Xs. Now, the AIM-9Xs do fire, but unfortunately, They don't seem to track anything, and they just fire like standard missiles. So you can see there, if we use the aimer, it doesn't really track, it just goes forward. So yeah, they haven't fully implemented them yet, and I'm sure they will at some point. But the M120s, I mean, they work once you have a radar lock with the radar machine, and then you kind of go from there. There is some bugs with these vehicles, so it'll be easier to show you how it all works, such as, look at this, the optics are upside down. But yeah, that's the general gist of the situation. As I said, we'll do individual videos on each of these vehicles so you can get an idea of what's going on with them. In Germany, you have another AA system. So this is the IRIST SLM/TADS. This is the Target Acquisition and Designation System. And then once again, you spawn the launchers on top of it once you're in a battle. It's going to be after the Thorakrad, which really shouldn't be too surprising. And I'll just show you how interesting this one is. Now, there is a bug right now where you can shoot multiple missiles at the same time. So if you see that happening, don't worry about it. They'll get it fixed. But this is the radar system that you kind of control, and then you can spawn in a bunch of these. Like, look how far you can like spawn them in, by the way. Like, look how far away that is. So you could straight up just like spawn them miles away from each other. And then if you have a vehicle locked, so you can see there, you could actually fire both of them at the same time, and they will loop to the target and hit it in the face. So how beautiful is that? These guys use the SLM missile. Unfortunately, we don't have any of its stats yet, but I'm sure we will soon. Once again, just firing off the missiles and hitting the target. But as I said, they shouldn't fire at the same time. They should only fire one at a time, so you'll have to get used to that. You can also like quick switch between targets. So if you want to like fire a bunch of different ones at the same time, you can see there, we straight up just shot at 3 separate targets all at the same time, and they all just died. So yeah, it's crazy to think about how powerful these things are going to be. They're also huge, so they're more mobile than I thought they would be. And also the big thing about it is if you are moving around with this, you can actually stop pretty quickly, and the launcher will set up pretty quickly too. Another thing is you can actually also, from this vehicle, just aim at the target and hit it yourself, as long as the radar machine sees it, right? That's the most important thing. You can also, at the same time, you can reload these vehicles if you get to a capture point. I don't think at the moment they actually have access to any of the different setups. And you can see here with the complex menu, it's actually showing you where certain targets are compared to where you actually are. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, this is a big truck. This is one of those where if you only use the actual, you need to keep the radar vehicle alive to be able to kind of push forward. If this dies, then your whole kind of, let's call them squad of vehicles, dies at the same time, since in order to use the IRIS, you need a radar. This is the radar. So yeah, but no ammo box, at least right now. And also the other thing is this thing does actually get scouting. So that's going to be its use when it comes to dealing with ground vehicles. You won't be able to target them with the missiles, but you will be able to scout them at least. The next set of vehicles are for Russia, and we have the T-72B3M. The T-72B3M is very similar to the T-72B3, which you find in the tech tree. It's basically got the same kind of stats. The major difference between it and the standard one is this, the Arena M APS. This is basically a APS which should be able to defeat all types of missiles and also be pretty good at dealing with certain aircraft munitions too. You can see that its threat velocity can go up to 1,000 meters per second, and then also at the same time, it has plus 40 degrees on the vertical, which is quite nice. Everything else about this is basically the same. There's nothing really to write home about it. If you like the T-72, then you'll like this vehicle, but it's following along stuff like the Black Knight and the Macarva Mark IV, where they're adding in these APSs to the game in order to try and make them a little bit better and more survivable. One thing to also note is they have improved the explosions on vehicles. You can see the APS there. You can see like the little boxes on the top right. So those are the part that actually, you know, is able to stop the stuff going in. Doesn't always stop it, as you can see, but at least it tries its best. So they've been working on explosions and improving them over time. So there's that, which is kind of cool. And then also they have just been trying to make them look a lot nicer. You can see here how beautiful the explosion looks. So every time that you fire and make something go pop, you will generally feel like you've done a lot of damage to a vehicle. So that's really cool, and thought I'd just show you that while we were over here, since, you know, we're getting smashed by the M901, the mighty M901. So yeah, the explosions look slightly better. Everything looks really nice, especially if you have very high-end graphics. So T72 B3M just gives you a bit more protection against stuff which isn't APF SDS, I think is probably the best way of putting it. So the APF SDS will still annihilate you, but anything that isn't APF SDS will struggle. For the pack for Russia, you have 3 vehicles, and they are also at rank 3. So these ones are slightly different than the standard ones. You have the IS-145. All of these are labeled 45 because they're called the main 1945 ones. So basically end of the war vehicles. So what these are bringing is also some updated models. All of the T-3485s in the game after the Partisan was added are getting upgraded models, including the Chinese one and also the Finnish one, and also all the Russian ones. But the IS-1 1945 has a kind of a little camo net on it. It has the more different hull compared to the standard IS-1, because you can see it's actually missing some of the track guards, and also you have some boxes and stuff on the back of it, but it'll basically play like a standard IS-1. T-3485 also has some additional armor on it. It's got the chicken wire, which is pretty fun, 4mm, and then also it has 10mm. So this is kind of like a uprated T-3485E, which is in the game too. These new T-34 models look really nice, and I'm super glad that they have them in. Then you have the Hanomag 45. Now you may think, well, we've seen this before. It's in the German tech tree, right? You can actually find it. It's the SDKFC 25121. Nope, it is slightly different. So this one is 3.3, right? And the good old USSR one is 4.0. Why is that? Well, this one actually uses the 15mm MG151s, where this one, the Hanomag, uses the 20mm. So the German one uses the 15mm. This one uses the larger caliber 20mm. So that is quite nice. You also have 4 crew, which is kind of fun. And then you have the MGesh, and then also the API, which pens up to 26mm. You also have 3,000 rounds worth of ammunition, so good luck running out of that. And that is part of the kind of Russian pack that they have. For Britain, they also have a pack. So let's start off. We have the Firefly, which is from Overlord. Well, that's at least what the pack's going to be called. So you have, first of all, a Sherman Firefly, just a copy of the standard Firefly with a nice camo on the top of it. So this is the second premium Firefly that we have in the game now. Then also, you have another vehicle, which unfortunately I didn't guess. This is the Avenger Overlord, which is, once again, it's just an Avenger with a camo net on top of it. And just to kind of show you the camo changing when you use different colors, you can see here the net actually changes every time that you change camo. So it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. Instead, it actually blends in with everything that you are, which is really cool. On top of that, they do also have an AA, which is the Crusader AA. This is the Mark II, not the Mark I. The Mark II is way more of an AA than the Mark I is, basically because it has the Oerlikons instead of the 40mm. The 40mm is very much more an anti-tank vehicle, just because it's got a slow targeting speed and also a pretty slow fire rate. So to try and keep the skies clear, this one I think is a lot better. It's also the Princess. Then you've got the Badger. So the Badger is a South African massive vehicle that is coming in. It's at 9.0 at the moment, and it's going to be in the South African area of the subtree. And what else can I say? It's a Patria hull that you can see here. So one that's very similar to the CTCV 105. And it has access to a 30mm Denel GI30. Now, this is a slightly different gun from some of the other 30mm that we've seen. Slightly different fire rate, slightly different reload, but mostly it's the same. You have some smoke grenades. You also have access to the SS-77 machine gun, and you, funnily enough, get the track IR on this thing. So you can actually, you are actually able to be able to lock onto planes, which is really funny. You can see that this thing also has an autoloader for it, which I find really weird. It has a first stage ammo stowage of 40 pieces, and then you have to kind of reload after that. So that is a pain. And also, I don't think it works right yet in game. So just, you know, bear with me on that one. You also have 4 crew, 2 right next to each other, buddy, and then 2 in the turret. So survivability won't exactly be great. And then also you have the 543 horsepower engine to move yourself around. Since this thing is a 30mm, it gets the MK258 APFSDS. It also gets a laser rangefinder, optics, thermals, smoke grenades, you know, all the good stuff. But at 9.0, I still think it's going to struggle a little bit, which is kind of sad. Then for Japan, we have the Tansamkai TADS. This one is also at 12.0, just like all of the other new SAM systems. And this one actually fires out some Type 81s. So the interesting thing about this one, you know how we talked about before, by the way, you have the SAM active radar homing 1C that you can see here, and then the Type 81C, which is the missile you should be used to. So you know how we talked about before, if the radar machine gets destroyed, so this is the machine. If the radar machine gets destroyed, then you're kind of done for, right? Well, when it... Well, you can put it on houses. Can I? Oh, no. Ooh. Maybe if I just, like, glitch it. No. Okay, I'm not gonna screw with it. But basically, the way that it works is if you are playing this set of vehicles, since these guys... technically they can kind of play by themselves, so they don't need a artillery vehicle, a radar vehicle to help lock on. Like you can see, like we can lock onto this target even without it. If the radar vehicle gets taken out, then you can still play along with this thing too, which I think is pretty awesome. It basically means that even, you know, not all the vehicles, you're just going to have to shoot at the radar and then nothing else. So it just makes it a little bit more fun and also a little bit more useful for the Japanese themselves. So yeah, you get 2 Type 81s. You do get some new missiles, which is kind of cool. We'll have to see how that all works. And then you can also, you know, control the radar as you go around, which is pretty fun. So yeah, looking forward to that one to see how this works. But the actual radar dish and the radar machine seems very powerful for the Japanese. And let's be honest, they kind of need it because they've always struggled in the AA department. Another AA which is coming in is the CSSA-5. This is for China and it's not finished. This one is cool. It's interesting, but it's not finished. And that kind of sucks. So it's at 12.0, but the missiles that it has, the FP-10As, they seem to be copied Iglers at the moment, so we can't really glean that much from that. It's also a very tall vehicle with absolutely no armor. I haven't been showing a lot of the armor of the vehicles on this. The reason for that is because, first of all, it's a dev server. Usually the armor changes. But one of the things I have to mention is that a lot of the vehicles just don't have a ton of armor. Like this one has 15mm around. So these AAs are incredibly lightly armored and they're just going to get hammered every time that they kind of spawn. But the idea is, can you fire enough back at the enemy before you get killed? That's kind of the feeling that I get with this. Also, you get the 30mm rotary gun, which does have an incredibly nice fire rate. You get some smokes as well, some good mobility with this massive behemoth. And unfortunately, you don't get scouting because technically this thing can defend itself because of the minigun. Now, the minigun is here, and it only has -4 degrees of gun depression. So because this thing is really tall, it's going to be very hard to actually get the gun on target when you're actually hitting stuff on the ground. But the idea is at least it can shoot at things, unlike the other vehicles that are about. So this is kind of the gun depression that you have. It's kind of funny how like the gun goes like in and out. I'm pretty sure they're going to fix that. But just to give you an idea of like the fire rate of this thing, like this is the basic fire rate, so it's pretty good. And then also the missiles are here, but I don't think the missiles are correct. And that's kind of what I said before, right? I don't think that these are actually acting the way that they should. So don't put too much stock into that as we go through. It is and will be quite fun. Oh my god. Okay, some of the explosions are pretty nutty in this. Also love how you can still spam the commander. For some reason, we're completely out of ammo already. Did I really go through that quickly? God damn, that can't be right. But yeah, so this one looks really fun. It's like a all-in-one system. It has search, it has track on the radar, and also it has the fun gun. So overall, that's pretty nice. You can see the search radar here, 40 kilometers, and also a good search look at. And this is the tracking radar, which has BVR ACM. It can also, as you can see, data link 8 targets at the same time, which when it has 8 missiles, technically, if you're being like really, really good with it, you could actually, you know, you could lock 8 targets at the same time and, you know, destroy them all, which would be kind of funny. So this is the Leopard 1A2. This is the new Italian Leopard that's coming in. It's more similar to the Leopard 1 than the Leopard A1A1. It has additional turret armor, which is pretty cool. It keeps the L7, the 105, and it basically keeps all of the other factors that made it very good. There was a few differences when it comes from the Leopard 1 to the Leopard 1A2. Not a massive amount, but you can see at least on this Italian vehicle that it is slightly different in the terms of the turret and also what is there. It has the standard rangefinder, has the DM12 and DM13, also has the smoke grenades. So if you like the Leopard 1, you will also really like the Leopard 1A2. You can see they're the same BR. Like they don't see a huge difference between the two vehicles. Then for the French, we first of all have the Leopard 2 LES. This is the premium Leopard 2A4 Dutch edition that's coming in at 10.7 for the French as part of the Benelux tech tree. This thing doesn't have Dutch voice lines yet. I really hope that it gets them. We'll have to see. But the major thing is that it does have this really cool camo on it. And also at the same time, it does have some nice little drip. So you can find it in the tech tree on this side, and it's going to be at rank 7, which is also the same rank as a new vehicle that's coming in, the French Leclerc MSC. Now, this is the prototype Leclerc, okay? It's very similar to the standard Leclerc, apart from they've removed pretty much all of its armor. Everything else seems basically the same. The major difference is that, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is the Leclerc when it isn't fully bushed like a moron. There we go. So this is the standard Leclerc, okay? So the first one that you research. This is the prototype. So you can see how flat the turret is. That's because it doesn't have the additional armor on it, and also the same on the front there. So you can see here with this Leclerc, you have all this composite armor. You also have this composite armor here. Well, on the MSC, you don't have any of that, at least right now. The MSC isn't finished, okay? So we'll have to see what happens with it. It's a 10.7 at the moment. It can get penned by absolutely everything, but it does have the 5-second reload, does have the 1500 horsepower engine, and also does have the good optics and laser rangefinder, so it'd be great. One of the things that you may have noticed is it doesn't actually have a gun. So we can't see what rounds it has, and we can't see what's here. But basically, I think what they're going to do is they're just going to take the round, which is from the AMX-40, the G1, and they're just going to add it to this one, and that will be what it has, because they're right now putting it at 10.7. They won't give it the F1, they'll just give it the G1, because if they gave it the F1, it wouldn't make a lot of sense, and it would have to go up in BR. So yeah, it's very similar to a Leclerc. It's not ready yet, though. So if you have any questions about it, that's all good. Just understand, it's just not ready. For Sweden, we have two vehicles. We have the Eled 98. This is another AA system, which is coming in. And this one is going to be at the end of the AA tech tree after the AIO, surprisingly. And what this is just an IRIS TSL SAM launcher. So you actually have different missiles from the German version. The German version has missiles that go up to 40 kilometers, whereas this one seems to have missiles which just go up to 12 kilometers. Now, they did talk about the idea of adding a lock-on after launch feature, so therefore your radar sees the target, you fire the missile, and then it will follow it. So that may, the range technically may extend, not really past 12 kilometers, but past the all aspect lock that you can see here. And then also it has the scouting, and it doesn't have any like thermals or anything like that, weirdly enough, but it does have a cute little search radar, which will basically mean that you can get these guys on target. One of the things I should also mention is the weight of the kind of truck, the track things is not right. So you can see here that with our little kind of Arctic Explorer, it's not really going to kind of show what it's supposed to do. Oh, I quickly just changed target there, but you can see there how quickly it actually moved around, right? Which is pretty awesome. All right, can I get another lock on something? Let's see. I thought I could. Oh, it's locking the thing behind me. So, if if a guy is pretty close, you can donk them really well, which is pretty cool. But even if they're like far away like this guy, as long as you can get a radar lock on it, then you'll be able to kind of go for it. But the problem is going to be getting a radar lock. One of the cool things about this, though, this one does actually get smokes, which is one of the things that a lot of these other guys don't get. So that's actually pretty cool. And I don't think you can launch these things without a radar lock yet. And then that is a bit of a problem. But I do like this vehicle because it just looks really cool. Like, I don't think it's going to be crazy good or anything, but it's just, it's a nice option to have. And sometimes that's what you need for an AA. Just something that can donk something out of the sky really quickly. Another vehicle that's being added to the Swedish tech tree is the M24DK. So this is just a chaffee. It may have an updated model, but I don't think it does. This is just a standard chaffee. The nice thing about it is it's rank 3, and it's also battle rating 3.7. So that means it gets access to all the dailies, all the specials, everything, which is really nice. And then also the 75mm M6 cannon. This is technically a post-World War II chaffee for the Danes, but it doesn't really work like that because obviously in War Thunder, you know, they're all basically the same. So it's not going to have like better ammunition or anything like that. It's just used at a different time compared to when a nation like America used it. So yeah, it has the 30 cal, doesn't have a lot of armor, but does have the nice stabilizer on the gun and also the 5-man crew. So that'll be really cool. And then the Behemoth. This is the Spyder AIO, or as it's known, the all-in-one. This has access to some ridiculous things. First of all, has a very, very powerful search radar, the TRML-4D. It also has a bunch of different kind of missiles that it can bring. And at the same time, all of these new vehicles I should have shown you have updated models when it comes to it. So you can see on the Eled, it has all of this electronic equipment in here. Stuff like the Tamsam Kai has all the electronic equipment. Same with this one. So yeah, they all have the updated models. But what this is just a massive system. Like, it's huge, and it has access to the Type 81C missile, which I'm sure it didn't in real life since that's the Japanese one. But it has access to the Derby. The Derby is the active radar homing missile that the Israelis use. Technically, this thing should also be able to fire the Python 5, which will be quite interesting. It also has access to thermals and some pretty cool animations. So yeah, this one is another vehicle that's coming to the high tiers for Israel, which is desperately needed. And it's coming in at 12.0 to follow the licks, which is, the vehicles that have been sat here for ages without really any help at all. So you can see that the actual camera basically is in the back of this vehicle, which is generally not great. But as you can move around, it does actually put the launcher down, which is pretty interesting. And at the same time, you can put the radar down too. If you turn it off and then let it go down, there you go. So you can technically make the vehicle shorter if you really want to, but then you won't be able to use the missiles themselves. So yeah, the derbies that we have, they should be very good at long-range warfare, at least from the ground. You can see that one over there. The only issue is the fact that it's very hard to actually see with this vehicle because it is just so huge. Like, I don't know how they expect people to use this. You can see the derby just straight up missed there, by the way. But yeah, I don't know how, you're supposed to use this thing. They're going to have to move the camera. It's just way too close in terms of the vehicle. But that's how the derby works. And then that's kind of how the aimer works. You can see here it does actually have really nice thermals. Super, super detailed, which is awesome. So you also get that, which is pretty cool as well. So yeah, the top tier AAs are looking pretty juicy. A lot of vehicles to try and stop the CAS horde, which has been happening for about the last 2 years and definitely will help against them. Another thing to also mention is with the new setup here, maybe it'll be a little bit easier to use, but not right now. Maybe in the future if it doesn't take up the whole screen. So as always, hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Warthunder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.